Well, today's the day that we probably been waiting for. Patrick Kane is a healthy scratch for tonight's game for basically trade purposes. The Blackhawks today announced by Elliot Friedman that Kane will be out of the lineup, and then the Blackhawks made their own post about it shortly after. So let's see if people hop into the stream here. Hang on, let me get a link posted. This isn't the only person that is healthy scratched for tonight's action as well. Sam Lafferty out of the lineup as well, but the main player in this is Patrick Kane. Hey Ryan, how are you? Yeah, the big news of Patrick Kane being out of the lineup sucks. I'm sorry, it does. If it's true he only wanted to go to the Rangers, it kind of sucks to hear. And I know this, I've been hearing all this talk about it the last few. Did I misspell that? Hang on. I misspelled scratch, didn't I? The best of my dyslexia just got to me. Yeah, I'm going to miss Patrick Kane. Yeah, it appears that Kane is back in Chicago with his family, so he didn't even go to San Jose. It sounds like he may have gone to San Jose last night with the team, but he is not in San Jose. He's back in Chicago. I believe that was tweeted by Frank Silverelli. And I'm trying to figure out who all is getting called up for tonight's game because there's going to be a lot of holes on the roster if Patrick Kane's out. Romoliotis has tweeted after per lineups for morning skate, Kurashev Domi after the CU on the first line, Tyler Johnson, Gutman, Radish second line, Blackwell, Dickinson, Gus third line, Kachuk, Cini, Kara fourth line. On the defense, McCabe and Jones, Jack Johnson, Murphy, Isaac Phillips, Caleb Jones, and Kane, Lafferty out of the lineup for management reasons. Mitchell is an extra skater with Tenorti. So Reichel has not been called up, it appears, so he won't be in the lineup tonight. I expect him to be in our next game because he's our top prospect in the system, ready to go for the NHL full time now that Patrick Kane is done. It's fair to say it. Patrick Kane is no longer a Chicago Blackhawk at this point because he's going to be traded. That's a fair statement to say right now, even though I won't say it as a full statement because Kane is still on the Blackhawks organization, but per roster management, he's going to be out of the lineup. And this leads to more to the tanking because the Hawks have been on a winning streak, and now the Hawks probably go on a long losing streak with this roster dismantlement. We knew the Hawks roster was going to get worse going into the trade deadline. It's already getting worse because Kane's out of the lineup. Lafferty's out of the lineup. Two key players on the Blackhawks roster off the lineup. Let me get the link.
Today is the day.
It just sucks to know that we probably have seen Patrick Kane play his last game. I'm sorry to say it like that. Knowing what all he meant to the team, I should just do this because at this point I'm there we are. He brought us all 3 of those Stanley Cup banners. He was a key member of the organization for years. Oh, I agree. I agree, Ryan. But it still sucks to see. Yep, Taze is officially the last, at this point, the last player remaining from the Stanley Cup era. Oh, I agree. I 100% agree with that statement. Stan Bowman ruined this organization. I don't know how long I'm going to stay live for just because I wanted to just make an emergency live stream because Patrick Kane being out of the lineup is a emergency worthy moment with the Blackhawks organization because will be one of the first games since before Keith and Seabrook were in the lineup that the Hawks will not have anyone from the Stanley Cup era on the lineup. Yeah, I agree, Tyler, but if the rumors are true that he only wanted to go to the New York Rangers, it makes the trade even worse because there's not going to be a good return, I feel like. Unless if the Hawks are packaging Sam Lafferty in the trade, maybe they could fetch more with it because if they're packaging Kane with Lafferty, maybe they are going to get a little bit more because Lafferty has more contract flexibility for a team like the Rangers, but the Rangers have a lot of cap space that's not open. They're going to have to make some moves to make it work. Ryan, I don't know what the Hawks will be getting. I'm certain I'm going to pull for whatever King goes in the playoffs. It could be fun to see Kaner with Breadman at least. Yeah, if the rumors are true, he would be a Ranger. It would be fun to see Kaner with the Breadman again, but it's going to suck to see him not in a Blackhawks jersey. Hey Nick, how are you? I see both Kane and Timo Meyer are out of the lineup, and that sucks to see for your Sharks. But the tank offs are on, and the Hawks versus Sharks are going to be the first true tank off. Yes, Timo Meyer is out of the lineup. Anyone think this is happening for Kane trade and Lafferty to be traded to why they took him out of the lineup? Yeah, this is basically for trade purposes. Lafferty is the kind of guy the Rangers want on the bottom of their lineup. Yeah, I could see it. That's why I think Lafferty is going to be packaged with Patrick Kane. He had the productions when he realized he may go to the Rangers and the reunite with Kane. Maybe. I don't think that's the main reason. Yeah, it does look like it got real, Drive. I really don't want Zach Jones. This is my problem. If Zach Jones is coming to the Blackhawks, no, thank you. The guy is undersized defenseman. That's another project. We don't need another undersized defenseman in this organization. We've had way too many of those in the most recent years. I'm sorry I'm ranting now because Zach Jones doesn't fit the organization's needs. He is undersized. He's another blue liner that takes up another roster spot that doesn't need it. Zach Jones being at 5'11 on the blue line at 175 pounds, it's not worth it. Sorry I got heated there, but every time I look at I've looked at Zach Jones' stats and what size he brings if he's a blue liner. It's not worth it. I get it. He's the number 2 ranked prospect in the Rangers system right now, but he does not fit. He would be the number 10 prospect in the Blackhawks organization. Do you think Kane comes back and retires with the Hawks? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he signs a 1-day contract, maybe a 1-year deal. Maybe. I don't know. Zach Jones just does not fit. Are we seriously? Is there seriously a possibility the Blackhawks are going to have 3 Johnsons on the team, and Tyler Johnson, Reese Johnson, and Jack Johnson, and 3 Joneses and Steph, Caleb, and Zach Jones? What is with? I just don't understand why Zach Jones would be part of a trade. He's undersized. He's another defenseman. You have too many defensemen trying to crack the roster next year and even this year because Jake McCabe's likely to be traded at the deadline. He's not healthy scratch, luckily. He's staying in the lineup tonight. I get it. Right now, it might say have health like scratched, misspelled. That was the best of my dyslexia right there. I already fixed it, so that should be fixed on your guys' end. If you're seeing the title, if it's misspelled, I already fixed it on my end. Hey, Jake. Oh, I agree, Ryan. Kyle Davidson has really strengthened the prospect pool in his short time as GM of the Blackhawks because at this point, if the Hawks were still with Stan Bowman, the Hawks probably would have the 32nd more ranked prospect pool, and the team would not be in this position where Patrick Kane's likely to be dealt in probably in the next 24 hours, is my guess. Tyler, I know this, but Can you understand why I'm kind of frustrated that the Blackhawks keep going after these undersized defensemen that's supposed to have high offensive upside? I just don't see the need in another one. We've done it too much over the years. I'm kind of at this point, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. They haven't panned out in years. The only one that truly would pan out if he stayed healthy was Adam Boqvist. Oh, wait, Boqvist is now with the Blue Jackets. Zach Jones' contract expires at 2023 season's end. According to Cap Friendly, this could be a new NBA style take on a expiring contract, maybe, but the Hawks would have control on his contract at that point. Yeah, if the Hawks can land a first round pick, I will be happy, but right now I don't even know if the Rangers will be dealing one. The Rangers would have to deal the best of their first round picks this year. They have to. They already dealt the worst of their first round picks to the St. Louis Blues, so they will have to put in the best of their first round picks for this year's NHL draft. I mean, we've always had the chance at Bedard this year. Oh, I agree, Drive. I already stated, if the Hawks still had Bowman as GM, the Hawks would not be in this position where they are trying to tank hard for Bedard or suck hard for Bedard, how you would like to say it. They would be in a position where they're probably battling for 12th to 15th in the standings and not making a playoff position. So, guys, I'm sorry I got a little heated about the Zach Jones situation if he's coming to the Blackhawks, because I'm frankly just, if it's all true, I'm just think it's not worth it. What's Zach going to do? Be part of the Calder Cup run in Rockford? He isn't an NHL player as it is. He'll probably be on the Blackhawks roster, Ryan, and then they'll probably send him down to the minors for the playoff run in Rockford. I get that, Tyler, but here, Tyler, are you able to hop on the live stream? Maybe a little bit precursor to the Hockey Podcast. If you're able to, let me know. I will shoot you a link because we could talk this out. Wait. Vancouver just got Kravtsov? Are you kidding me? So what are unless Vancouver's going to be doing the third team in the trade possibility type of thing, because yes, the Hawks are going to need a third party in a trade. Could the Canucks be that third party? I'm seeing it right now. Elliot Friedman tweeted, hearing Vancouver will be acquiring Vitaly Kravtsov from the Rangers. I'm just wondering, what could a package now we need to know, if Kravtsov is a Canuck, what would a package be for Patrick Kane and potentially Sam Lafferty? Because I would assume Krasov would have been part of a Kane trade. I honestly would have thought Krasov would have been part of a Kane trade. Hoglander and a draft pick to the Rangers? Is that... Oh, that's your guess? Who's Tab Bamford? I've honestly never heard of him. Yeah, I would have too. I honestly would have thought the Hawks would have got Krasov in a deal. If the Canucks could be the third party, I can understand why Krasov was moved to the Canucks, because that means Kane's contract would be also dealt with the Canucks, which is kind of weird to think about it if you think about the old rivalry days. But I'm trying to figure all this out now, because Vitaly Krasov is going to the Canucks, per Elliot Friedman on Twitter. I'm still shocked Friedman doesn't even have the gold check mark, because, Twitter and their stupid ways of doing the check marks now. Yeah, I would have thought Krasov would have been part of a deal for the Hawks. But Ryan is saying Canucks are potentially the third party according to Bleacher Report. I'm not seeing that. Hey Ryan, was that tweeted or what on the Bleacher Report website? I have not seen any report on that. Oh, okay, here it is, 44 seconds ago. Put Jake decisions on waivers, trade Vitaly Krasov somewhere, reportedly going to Vancouver. Send paperwork to Blackhawks. That's what it's showing on here. Ooh, I would not want Tyler Myers from the Blackhawks. So here's what Puckpedia tweeted. If the Ranger trade Krasov today and send decisions down tomorrow with no other roster moves, they would have the room for Kane at 25%, 2.625 million cap hit starting March 1st. They could do it sooner by sending someone down or including them in a trade. Well, with Krasov being traded to the Rangers, this is interesting. Okay, let me just take a look into it. Hang on. Guys, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already. I will highly appreciate it. Ryan, you're in my Discord, correct? If not, I will make a link to the Discord so you guys can join if you're not already in it. Yeah, I know that, Ryan. So I know that, Tyler. So if we're looking at this, Decisions was part of the send down. Kravtsov was part of the trade, I think we're starting to see what Puckpedia is doing. Link is in the chat now if you're wanting to join the Discord. But the player I'm kind of shocked that was picked up off of waivers by St. Louis of all teams was Kapanen. I saw that earlier and I was like, what? Okay, here's the trade for the Vancouver Canucks. Vitaly Kravtsov to the Canucks for William Lockwood and a 2026 seventh round pick. Therefore, that now I'm trying. The Canucks barely gave up anything. That means I have a feeling the Canucks are going to be the third party. Because the Canucks receive Vitaly Kravtsov. Okay, that's a good prospect going their way. Rangers receive Lockwood and a seventh round pick. That's not a lot. I feel like the Canucks are going to be probably that third party team. Kravtsov could still be dealt one more time coming to Chicago. I don't think that's going to be the case, Ryan. Yeah, Drive. I get that the Canucks may eat $2.5 million in the deal, but I think that's why we're seeing this trade kind of happen. I think this is going to be part of a three-way trade, and then probably in the next 24 hours here. Kane probably will get dealt towards the Canucks. Canucks take on the 25%. Hawks take on 50%. Canucks then deal Kane over to the New York Rangers. Kravtsov comes back to us. Probably a first-round pick comes back to us. We'll see what happens because this is going to be interesting because Kravtsov being traded for nothing basically kind of makes me think we're going to see a bigger trade to happen. It makes me think. And Ben Pope just tweeted, weird seeing no stall for Patrick Kane in the Blackhawks locker room here in SAP Center. Well, the next time I go live will actually be on Friday for the trade deadline. Hey, Tyler?
What in the world is going on?
Silly season is in full swing.
Oh my goodness. Give me half a second here.
Okay.
There we go. That's better.
So yeah, Charles, I will be going live on Friday for trade deadline day.
In the world?
The end of the era is here, clearly.
Okay, so first things first. So that trade doesn't involve us because that was tweeted by the official Canucks account. That was tweeted by their official account. So that's a separate thing. They just gave Kravtsov to Vancouver
for nothing.
For William Lockwood. Okay, William Lockwood's a decent young player, but like I mean, he's okay. He's fine.
I will still say this. It still makes me think the Canucks could be that third-party team where Kravtsov could be dealt one more time.
Yeah. Lockwood to me reminds me of Lockwood to me is like a 13th, 14th forward, probably, most likely. And then a 7th round pick.
It really is making me think, what the hell would the Hawks be getting in a return?
I guess. So to me, what this means is that One, if they're willing to get rid of Kravtsov for that little, that means they must think that they're getting Patrick Kane.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That means they must think they're getting Patrick Kane because the only reason you trade Kravtsov for that little is because you just want the cap space.
Yep.
And you need the cap space. Getting a 7th? This is a guy that you basically said, no, we're not going to trade you. Go to the KHL if you want. We're not trading you. And then he came back and they still gave him terrible minutes. Oh my goodness. So essentially where we're at here with that is Kane's getting traded. Kane's getting traded and he's getting traded to the Rangers, and it seems like that's pretty clear.
That's why.
I think that, I think that at this point, that's pretty clear. Thank you, Patrick Kane. Thank you for your thank you for turning back on your talent over the last 2 weeks so that a trade was actually possible.
Tyler, I think we might need to do a live podcast tomorrow. Because if we go live and the trade happens tomorrow, we could be live during the trade.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm like tomorrow might be the time. Lockwood in a 7th, dude.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what this trade's going to be because do you think Sam Lafferty is going to be part of the trade now?
I'm not sure. I don't know if it really was part of it in the first place. I do think Sam Lafferty's getting traded, but I don't necessarily know if it's part of this deal. Part of the reason I say that is just based on what the Rangers have in terms of their roster construction at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's possible that Sam Lafferty's involved in this because so here's the lines. Let's assume that Patrick Kane is going to the Rangers.
Yeah.
For the sake of this, let's assume that Patrick Kane's going to the Rangers. The lines that we would see for the Rangers in this scenario would be that their top line would be Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, and then most likely Patrick Kane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second line, Panarin, Trocheck, Tarasenko. You could organize those as much as you want, but that would be your top 6 right there. Is that combination of Kreider, Zibanejad, Kane, Panarin, Trocheck, Tarasenko. That's your top 6. Your third line is their so-called kid line, which is Lafreniere, Hedl, and Kapakaka. Okay, those guys are staying. So you have those
what if
three.
One of them are dealt?
That's where it could get interesting, and that if Lafreniere or Kaku's in the deal, which seems less and less likely as we go on, that's the only way I think Lafferty's in the trade.
Yeah.
When you're looking at their fourth line, and their fourth liners are consisting of now would be guys like Jimmy Vesey, Barclay Goodrow, Tyler Mott, and that's like the guys they have on their fourth line. They just sent down Jake Lecision. That's the plan at least. And then in terms of like 13th, 14th forwards, they have guys like Ryan Carpenter who's there. So maybe they do because they just traded for Tyler Mott as well.
I forgot.
So
Ryan the Rangers.
Maybe they do want Lafferty as like a guy. He can play wing, he can play center, and he can be on that fourth line, replace VC in that spot. But I'm not sure, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Anthony, I don't think Kane comes back.
I wouldn't say the only way I think that if Kane, I think it's more likely that Kane resigns than
he wins the cup
comes back after getting traded. If he's getting traded, I don't think he's coming back to us. Could happen, but I wouldn't. I mean, it's not impossible. We lose Nick. It's weird. Hello? Nick? I'm just confused now. I'm trying to figure out where Nick went. I have actually no clue where Nick went. Yeah, Kane is in Chicago right now. He left the team on their road trip. I mean,
Sorry about that.
okay, there you are. Yeah.
Something happened at my house. I had to try and get done.
Okay, that sounds good. So it's I would say, I mean, I think that after this week where Kane's like, yes, I'm still that guy, in case you forgot.
Yeah,
I think that we look at what Tarasenko was traded for. We look at what Ryan O'Reilly was traded for. I mean, I don't see any reason why those trade packages can't be similar to what the Blackhawks get.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the Rangers right now, they don't have a lot of their own picks, but they do have some assets. They have a first round pick, which is it's the better pick. It's one of the two picks between their pick and Dallas's pick. And they have their own second, and they have their own third. And then they also have some picks next year, but they are pretty low on assets already.
Yeah. I'm saying this. This is the only season the Rangers have to win a Stanley Cup. Because I can't see Kane or Tarasenko re-signing with the Rangers because of salary cap situation.
Well, yeah, but I also think that, yes, there's a salary cap situation, but the rest of the core is still going to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, they gave a lot of money for a lot of years to Vincent Trocheck. Kreider's there for the next 4 years after this one. Panarin's there for the next 3 years after this one. Zibanejad's there for the next 6 years after this one. And they got Adam Fox. They still got Ryan Lindgren. They still got Shesterkin, who's still got 2 years left on his contract. They could be in trouble soon, but they don't necessarily need Kane and Tarasenko to stay, just to still be pretty good and to still build up the team. Now, the concern with them is when are they going to actually realize that they need to integrate young players into their team? Because they got all these great assets through this rebuild that they started about 6 years ago. And then they only cared about half of them, and they just threw the rest to the wayside.
Yep.
Are they going? I mean, next year, Brent Hoffman will probably be in the NHL. Are they actually going to utilize him? Are they ever going to try and utilize Zach Jones? Are they just going to give up on him and get rid of him? Do they even care? Are they just going to pretend that Ben Harper's better for the next 10 years? I don't know.
I have no clue. This is going to be the most interesting trade of the trade deadline because
it's gonna be insane.
We're going to have a third team involved.
I think that there has to be a third team involved. You don't trade Kravtsov for that little. Well, for one, they don't really value.
They
him
don't give a crap about.
They clearly don't value him anymore. But you don't trade him. You don't trade him for that little, with the specific thing that trade gives them just enough cap space to get Patrick Kane double retained. If you're not gonna get Patrick Kane double retained,
yeah,
that's clearly their plan, which we can see because they did exactly that. They just traded Kravtsov. They just waived Leschyshyn. Leschyshyn's gone. He might go back to Vegas for all we know because they have the waiver rights for him because he was claimed off waivers by the Rangers.
Okay, I thought he was traded there by.
No, it was a waiver claim from Vegas to the Rangers. So the Rangers have, if he clears waivers, then Vegas has the right to just take him back and put him in their AHL.
I kind of think it will happen.
It could happen. Doesn't really affect their cap space either way.
No, it doesn't.
It wouldn't really affect their cap space regardless. But in that situation, you're looking at, the Rangers right now. I think that it's pretty clear the Rangers want Patrick Kane, and they're going to probably get Patrick Kane. The question is, what are we getting? What's going to happen to us? Are we going to get that other Dallas Rangers first, that combo thing? Are we going to get that? The Rangers have their own second. Then they have the Avalanche third. No fourth or fifth, 2 6th, and no 7th. They just acquired a 7th, but that's 3 years from now. And they have some picks next year, some picks the year after that, but they don't really have much in terms of picks.
Is Kyle Davidson going to be embarrassed?
I mean, it's a difficult situation. He could always just say, if you don't give us what's worth it, then you're not getting Patrick Kane.
I agree. The Hawks still don't have to trade Patrick Kane. If they're getting an offer where it's crap by the Rangers, they could still say, no, we won't do the trade. Even if Kane says, trade me.
Think about it. You're getting a guy in Patrick Kane who is a very, very been one of the best players in the league for a very long time. He's not that anymore, but he's at minimum a guy who can play great when he's with good players.
Yeah.
That is the worst case scenario is you're getting a guy who is great when he's with great players. And he's a guy whose talent is going to be elevated when he's playing, and his ability is going to be elevated when he's playing with a team that actually has sufficient talent around him. You look at a guy, and I'll just pull up some of the team's just stats right now so that I can just have this.
Yeah, Brian, we saw this.
Where he could fit into the lineup, which would be so-called maybe on a line next to like Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad. Mika Zibanejad already has 30 goals this season. Chris Kreider has almost 25 goals this season. So you're looking at those two, and you're like, well, those are guys who, if they get passes now from Patrick Kane, they're going to be elevated. They're going to elevate each other. It's going to be a symbiotic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
They'll work perfectly with each other. So, and you're getting that guy for like just over $2 million in cap space.
Yeah.
You're getting that guy double retained, which is going to cost you not even $3 million. Yeah, I'm going to want some stuff. I'm going to want some assets. When Ryan O'Reilly gets traded for a first, a second, and a third, when that happens, when that guy gets traded for a first, a second, and a third round pick, when he's in the worst season of his career, is barely half a point a game, and also has won a cup.
Yeah.
And then you look at Vladimir Tarasenko, he gets traded for a first.
And he's injured.
And he's not in having the best season of his career, but he also is a Stanley Cup champion who's been a superstar in this league for the last 10 years. Why would Patrick Kane be worth less?
Exactly.
What about Patrick Kane would make him worth less than Ryan O'Reilly or Vladimir Tarasenko? The odds of any of them re-signing are small.
Yeah.
The cap space is the same situation. They're all massive retained contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So they cost less against the cap for you because they're massively retained. I don't really understand why Patrick Kane seems to be singled out in the whole guy sucks, guy can't play anymore, we can't use him anymore. Not even worth a first round pick. I think there's a lot of narratives being built into that. I don't think that let's say teams don't care about public analytics. Okay, they have their own numbers that are much more reliable than the stuff that we see. They have their own formulas, and
much better than
I would love to see that stuff because it's usually much more reliable. It's usually much more trustworthy. They have their own stuff they look at. They have hours of film. They have professional staffs. They have a ton of things. They don't care about this stuff. But we've also seen that they often, in the past, don't really care if a player has a down year. Something that we've had. If a player has a down year, but he has a history of success. We look at Kane, he had 92 points last year.
Yeah.
He was very good last year when he was playing with a guy who can score goals. What do the Rangers have? Oh, Mika Zibanejad, who just a couple seasons ago led the league in goals per game. That would be, you get that guy, I guarantee you, let's just say that Kane's probably getting traded to the Rangers. I can guarantee you right now that Patrick Kane will be over a point per game in his time with the Rangers between the regular season and postseason. I have no doubt about it. They might not go very far in the playoffs. They could win the cup. They could get knocked out in the first round. Who knows? But I guarantee you Kane will be good for them. And it'll be costing cheap, and he'll be a significant asset to your team. Is that really not worth a first-round pick?
Exactly.
Is the best we could really get Kravtsov, Zach Jones in a second, a couple of guys who haven't proven themselves yet, and a second-round pick? Are we serious here? Is that really where we're going with this? We know Kane is still good. We know he's capable. He just showed in the last week he's still got it. Sure, he doesn't give a single crap about defense. Never has. And you wouldn't know that if you listened to the broadcast because Eddie Olczyk made it clear every single time he wanted to bring up when Patrick Kane did anything quality defensively. He brought it up every single time so that you weren't convinced that he's as bad at defense as he is. But we all really know he doesn't really do much on that end. But on the offensive end, there's so much that he can provide you on the power play at even strength, and especially when he's playing with great players.
Yeah. I still think the hip injury stuff was overblown by the media, in my opinion.
It was. And I do think that there is a part where, because with the whole when Tarasenko got traded to the Rangers, that frustrated Patrick Kane.
Oh, yeah.
That frustrated him because I think at that moment he thought the Rangers were off the table.
Yep.
Now we're in a situation where the Rangers are back on the table. And, I mean, it's going to be a difficult situation because it's a lot easier to give up picks from a, just a, aesthetic perspective, from an optics perspective. It's a lot easier to just give away draft picks than give away your prospects, give away your players. You could have a guy who was drafted in the third round, and teams would rather trade away the second round pick than the third round drafted prospect if he's playing well. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you right now, if we were contending, I would personally rather trade away a second round pick than Samuel Savoie.
Yeah.
Just because I think that if you're looking at right now, I'd probably value him at a second round pick just because of how much he's improved this year.
Oh, yeah.
So I understand that. But you look at it and you're like, well, they're more likely to trade the first round pick than trade Brennan Othmann.
Yeah.
Now, I would love Brennan Othmann on this team, but you look at the optics of it and you look at how much flack that Vegas got when they traded Suzuki for Pacioretty. Look how much flack they've gotten for that decision. They've traded first-round picks in the past as opposed to their prospects, and teams get way less flack. The Toronto Maple Leafs traded a draft pick that became Corson Kuhlman's in exchange for Nick Foligno, who got hurt and then barely did anything for them because he was too busy being hurt.
Yep.
But you get a lot more flack when you trade the prospect than when you trade the draft pick with just the number. It's magic beans. Well, I mean, in a draft like this, it's really talented, very deep, especially beyond just the best guys. Beyond the top guys, it's still very good.
Yeah.
You want draft picks in this draft, but you also want those actual prospects.
If I'm reading into this year's draft too, 60 of the first picks could potentially first rounders in any other draft. If for the first 60 round, 60 picks, you could easily have a first round pick in those top line and those how it's lining up for this year's draft.
Yeah, one of the things that I heard. So, my favorite YouTuber is Will Scouch, does a ton of stuff with scouting. He was asked one time, where would you rank your number one prospect from last year in this year's draft? His number one prospect last year was Shane Wright. He said, I'm ranking him 7th this year. Shane Wright would go 7th overall, according to him, this year. Jaroslawski would go 7th. He went first, and there's guaranteed 4 and most likely 2 other players who are better than the first ranked guy last year.
Yeah.
We're going to be fine. It's going to take a while. The Blackhawks are going to be fine. It's going to take some time, but we're already kind of working on clearing out the deadwood, clearing out the players who don't fit what we need anymore. I think that I think there could be something with Zach Jones, but I would like to see just something different. Because I would.
You've heard my argument.
Zach Jones is part of the deal. If Zach Jones is part of the deal, I think that it's okay. I know that he's a left-handed defenseman, but I also think that when you look at some of the other guys we have, there aren't many undersized defensemen in our pool right now. The only one that I can see is you look at our entire defensive crop. Everyone who's in our roster right now, besides Ian Mitchell, is a bigger guy. The majority of the prospects that we have are bigger guys. It's not a ton of like small defensemen that we have. So maybe it's like part of the mold that we want. So you could say that I don't think Kyle Davidson's actually going to go for Zach Jones. I don't think he wants Zach Jones. I don't think he'd value him all that much. But I also think that it's not like we're going to be this really a soft, small team because we have a ton of other very big defensemen that are coming up over the next couple of years. Alex Vlasic is 6'6". Alex Vlasic is 6'6". Ethan Del Mastro, I think he's like 6'2", but regardless, he is a freaking mountain.
Here's a question for you. Who gets the third A tonight?
It's the third A tonight. Okay, so
I'm going to say Tyler Johnson.
So we got Murphy who's going to have one, obviously. We got Seth Jones who's going to have one, obviously.
Mm-hmm. I think Tyler Johnson might
be. Joe could be one.
Maybe McCabe, because he's technically not traded yet.
I think Domi is an option.
Mm-hmm.
Domi is one that I think could happen.
I would, Brian. I would not give.
I think that I'm going to say. I'm going to say Max Domi.
I'm going to go with Tyler Johnson just because of the fact he's out of the forward core, he is most likely not getting traded. Domi likely will.
Domi could get traded. We haven't heard a lot about Domi as of late.
Yeah, and earlier in January, Friedman and Merrick basically stated that Domi likes it in Chicago, and they would not be surprised if he re-signs. But Brian, I would definitely not give it to Colin Blackwell, just because.
Colin Blackwell. I mean, he's played better as of late, but
he has. But
in terms of the guy who put a letter on his chest, no.
I would give it to Tyler Johnson.
I think Tyler Johnson's an interesting one. I'm going to say that I think that the guess, in my view, will be Domi. I think Domi's going to be the guy. I think the real question is, what could we, with Kravtsov off the table now, what is a Patrick Kane trade?
I have no clue.
Because they've already built up this framework for him to get traded.
Yeah.
They've definitely built up. The Rangers have put themselves in a position now to trade for Patrick Kane. So I think it's pretty clear that they want this to happen. The question now is just, what are we going to get if we trade Patrick Kane? And it's a bit of a difficult one to try and understand. Now, if you look at our system and the guys that we have in our system, what we have right now is we have a lot of defensemen who are on the cusp of making the NHL. We have a good crop of forwards who are like fringe guys, who are guys who could develop. We have 4 forwards who we drafted in the second and third rounds last year, but most of them are not ready yet. So, but there's like questionable upside between all of them. We'll see. You still want to add more forwards because I don't think you have enough between the guys we got last year. You got Nazer, who I think is going to be great. But then between Ludwinski, Savoie, Hayes, and Thompson, you got good players there, but I don't think that you have anything that would stop you from trying to go get more forwards. I would want Brennan Othman in this trade. That's who I would want. Is that who we're going to get? Probably not. I think that the Rangers probably don't want to trade Brennan Othman, but, I mean, you're getting Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
It's a hard situation to try and figure out. I think that because obviously the difficult part is thinking about how's this trade going to exist without because are they going to trade that other first? They can't trade Kravtsov anymore, they just got rid of him.
Yep.
They can't get rid of Kravtsov anymore because they just got rid of Kravtsov. Are they going to trade Kakko? I don't know. He's played a lot better as of late, and I think that they really like what they have in the kid line, and I think they just want to keep it.
That's what Lazarus just tweeted.
See, this is where Mark Lazarus gets a lot of people to hate him.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of the most inflammatory tweets I've ever seen. Man, that tweet is just.
I mean,
that's so disrespectful.
Yeah, but it is something to say. We could be looking at one of the most underwhelming trades in Blackhawks history of the greatest player in organization history.
And I think that primarily it's going to be because of narratives that have been built. I think it's going to be partially because of narratives that have been built around what Patrick Kane is anymore. I think there's people out there who don't think he's anything good anymore, and they're all wrong. They're all completely just lying. They don't understand.
Yeah, Brian, I would totally take that.
But Jesus, that's.
I would take that in a heartbeat.
That's funny. That's funny. I don't even know. I mean, like, maybe a name we haven't discussed yet that could be part of this is Will Coley. I think that Will Coley he seems like the kind of guy that the Blackhawks would want.
Mm-hmm.
And he's played much better in the AHL this year than I really thought that he would. So, and he earned an NHL call-up, and he's 6'3". He's very physical. He's got a decent shot. He's a goal scorer, and he's physical. I think that Will Coley is a name that Kyle Davidson would covet, since we've seen what he wants. Now, is Will Coley a headliner in a Patrick Kane trade?
No.
And they're not trading Ryan Lindgren. I would bet my house on them not trading Ryan Lindgren because he plays so well next to Adam Fox.
And didn't Lindgren just get injured today?
I think he did, but beyond that, the fit with him next to Adam Fox is so good. Those two play so well together that I think that Ryan Lindgren would be that's a non-option. I would put a less than 0% chance that Ryan Lindgren is anywhere other than the Rangers for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
They love Ryan Lindgren there, and rightly so. Now,
I'm just trying to figure it all out because I will say this. We probably will get confirmation on the trade within the next 24 hours.
I think maybe 48. might extend that out. I think that the trade probably goes down tomorrow, probably. But it's really going to be about what the heck is involved in this return, because the Rangers have set themselves up for it to happen now. Now we just got to see what the heck's going to happen.
Yep, the Rangers set themselves up. The Hawks need to make sure they're going to do whatever it takes to get pieces coming, because Kane, is it fair to say Kane basically put the Blackhawks up against a wall and basically said Rangers are not?
I mean, sure, but like, he's also, I mean, you know, he does have the right to say.
Yeah, he has the right to do it.
Go anywhere else. He has the right to say that.
Yeah.
I think that primarily the thing is just that, you know, I think that part of it is just that I think he's frustrated of the way that, and I'd be frustrated too. I think that he's frustrated about the way people are talking about him. I think he's frustrated about the way people are talking about his hip injury. I think he's frustrated about the way that the team has completely disregarded his wants over the last 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, maybe, just maybe there was pressure from Kane and Taves to make moves like acquiring Seth Jones.
Maybe.
Because we saw when they did that before the 56-game season, they were not all that happy when they were talking about the fact that the team was going to try and go into a rebuild.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that something we haven't discussed, maybe there was pressure from those two about, hey, we've got 2 years left on our contract. Let's try and get something going here. This team was better than we thought they were going to be last year. Let's get it going now. And then they just said, Seth Jones, $9.5 million. You're welcome. And then the entire team implodes. I mean, it's a really strange situation. It could be the case where, there was pressure there.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then that's frustrating, because I think that it was rushed.
Yep.
I think it was very rushed, and we wouldn't be in this situation right now if we didn't rush the accelerated rebuild as quickly as we did.
100%.
Mm-hmm. Now, if we get Bedard, then who cares?
If we land Bedard or land Fantelli, I will be happy at the end.
If we get Bedard or Fantelli, who cares? I mean, I've said this a couple of times before. I think that it's so great that in a draft like this, you have a guy who's drafted first, who will go first overall, who is so good. Who has one of the highest upsides and highest ceilings of any player of the last 10 years in the draft. And then the second guy is a guy who actually fits what you're looking for in a player more, even if he's not as good.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best consolation prize possible.
Yeah.
It's the best consolation prize possible, is getting Adam Fantilli, a guy who fits exactly what you want in a hockey player, and also is fantastic.
And could
even
also
if he's not as good.
One of your top prospects next year full time.
Yeah, there's that too. And oh my God, I think doesn't Michigan play tonight? I think
they might.
Yeah, probably gonna try and watch that game.
Or wait, no, their season's over. Their regular season's over in college hockey.
Well, yeah, but they've got the playoffs. I need to look this up because I thought that they played soon at least. No, they play tonight.
Oh, okay.
Looks like
maybe it's one of their final regular season games.
So tonight, senior night, 8 p.m. Big Ten Network versus Notre Dame. So we got Nazer versus Slaggert. That's going to be fun. I'm definitely going to be watching that.
Even though Slager's really been disappointing this year.
He has. Dominic Bossi's rights being traded?
If that's a case.
Where did you see that?
Brian, please, I haven't seen anything.
Where? Where is that happening? I don't understand why you do that because I don't really think that he has like a ton of value. But also, two, he's played a lot better this season as opposed to last year, so you probably want to just see where he goes.
Okay,
I think Jamie Faulkner was put in a really difficult spot.
Jamie Faulkner does more of the business side of the thing. She's not really involved in the player management side of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. Jamie has done a great job when it comes to the season ticket program now, because now there's an option to get a 5-game package, which I ended up getting this season. She's also brought in the fact more to a younger side for media standpoint, which is a good thing to see. But there's some, I won't put Jamie at like, I don't think, I would say Jamie's done a good job so far for the team. Would you agree there, Tyler?
Yeah, I think that mostly what's happening has been fine. Again, I think that it's a lot of trial and error as well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's been put in primarily a very difficult spot. It's been a very difficult situation to really handle for someone who's running the business side of the Chicago Blackhawks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't really see anything
basically
on that.
for merchandising rights and the season ticket side of stuff, and I think she's done a good job at that.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation that happens over the next. We'll see how everything develops.
Brian's now just joking at this point.
Yeah, what's the point there?
Yeah, I know.
It's just.
I agree with what you said there, Drive, on if Kane gave the Hawks 2 teams, maybe a bidding war occurred and better package could come from it. Who knows? Maybe Kane did give the Hawks 2 teams and maybe a bidding war was put in place and the Rangers are just trying to do everything in their power to get him, because we know the Rangers have one of the largest media programs in the NHL, right behind Toronto. New York's the second largest media in the NHL behind Toronto. So the Rangers could have just been pulling plugs to just make it sound like they're all in and doing everything. And we could hear maybe after the trade happens, Kane had 2 teams in mind to go to. There's a possibility that still is a case.
Yeah, it's it's obviously going to be a little bit of a weird situation.
All I will say this: at least we aren't dealing with Kyle Dubas again after being
yeah, that was
ticked off after the deadline last year.
Yeah, I just don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know either. Ryan, I didn't. I just went and enjoyed the festivities. That's why I made like that short video on YouTube. I just went and enjoyed my day and at the season ticket party. I'm just keeping an eye on Twitter for everything. Lazarus just tweeted again.
Yeah.
Oh, Connor Murphy quoted from Ben Pope on Kane. It's hard to express the meaning of him not being in a Blackhawks sweater anymore. Blackhawks don't expect Zaitsev to clear immigration for another 4 to 7 days.
This one's interesting. So, tweet from Joe Brand that was just sent. Tonight will be the first time since the 2004 season finale,
Yep.
which was April 4th in Dallas, the Blackhawks will play a game without any of Patrick Kane, John Entes, Duncan Keith, or Brent Seabrook. And this also means that this is the first time, the very first time since Patrick Kane's 2010 Stanley Cup winning goal that the Blackhawks are playing without a Stanley Cup champion with the Blackhawks in their lineup tonight.
Yeah.
Very first time in 13 years that 0 players playing for the Blackhawks in a game won a Stanley Cup with the Blackhawks.
Yep.
It's
truly an end of an era.
Yep, it really is. And now it's all about just trying to build the next era. That's all it really is. That's all we really need to just focus on right now. But it's Kyle Davidson's job to get the most out of this trade. Try and get the most out of this trade. Try and get the most out of whatever other trades that can be figured out. Whatever else can be moved.
So, Brian, what happened with Dubas last year? The trade, the Blackhawks basically had a deal in place to send Marc-Andre Fleury to the Maple Leafs. The trade fell through because Dubas got ticked off that somehow the trade got a little bit leaked before it even happened. Isn't that kind of right to what happened with Dubas last year? Oh,
yeah, that was the whole thing.
How the Hawks are going to be under the cap floor if they trade Kane tonight.
I don't think it'll be an issue because I don't think it'll be a problem because there's Zaitsev as well.
There's
Zaitsev. Kane's on Taze is on LTI. Taze is injured, but his money's still.
He's on injured reserve.
And we've got daily. We've built up enough daily cap over the last time where it shouldn't be a problem. And I don't think it will be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that Kane is getting traded tonight. I think that it will happen tomorrow because I think they need Decision to go down first.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out the Hawks.
But they've made the 2 moves that they needed to make in order to make a Patrick Kane trade viable. Now, I don't know what else to say. Now we just wait and see where it goes.
Right now, everyone's in limbo. The only 2 teams, possibly 3 teams that knows what's going on is the Hawks, the Rangers, and some third-party team.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think the Rangers have their trade assets all in place because Davidson's going to negotiate the living hell out of a trade.
You have to.
If he doesn't, he fails as a GM.
You gotta figure it out. You gotta figure out. It's going to be a 3-team trade. There's a 0.
It has to be.
It has to be because the only way that the Rangers can fit Kane on there. So it will be a 3-team trade. It will be a third team that will eat 25% of his contract. A different team will do that. That is going to happen. There's a 0% chance that a 2-team trade with Patrick Kane happens. That's not going to happen. It won't happen. It simply won't happen.
If there is a possibility that third team being Vancouver, if that trade happened because of to make a third-party deal in place, the Hawks would have to give Vancouver something for getting crap.
I kind of think that element of the trade was kind of just there. I kind of just think that, that's a separate thing. I don't necessarily think that Vancouver's going to be involved. It could be. They could be involved. But I don't know if Vancouver really is part of this. I
Okay,
don't know the exact numbers on the decision thing, but all I know is that it's enough to fit Kane at 25% of his contract.
should we
It's enough.
here? Let's make a guess. Who do you guys think will be that third-party team in a trade for Patrick Kane? That's the question right now. I have an idea who I would say.
I am going to say that the answer is Arizona.
I'm not going Arizona with it. I don't think it's going to be Montreal or Vancouver. My pick is Minnesota.
Huh.
They're
I mean,
already
they just did a third team.
they did, and the fact is, I think Minnesota is willing to do it again. They have the cap space to do it for the rest of the year,
Do they have?
and they have the retention spaces to do so. I could see Minnesota get in again on a third team trade.
Could be. It could be. They have,
Vancouver's likely.
they have one more retention slot. They've already retained on Ryan O'Reilly and Dmitry Orlov. Oh my God.
On Orlov. I forgot about Orlov.
Yeah, they've already retained on Ryan O'Reilly. They've already retained on Dmitry Orlov. They could very much just get a free pick and retain on Patrick Kane as well. They could decide to do it. Of course, they barely have enough money though, and they barely have enough money. I don't think it'll be Minnesota because that's a little bit too close to the salary cap for my liking. And also, they are still trying to be good.
They are. Okay.
Carolina. They're not. Carolina could acquire Kane, but I have serious doubts that Carolina would be the third team. They don't have enough cap space for it.
A team that I could see that do it, maybe that's not Minnesota because I already just said that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough one because 3-team trades don't happen often, and you're seeing it quite a bit this trade deadline.
Now, what about Pittsburgh? They just waived Kasperi Kapanen, so they just got a bunch of free money.
Oh,
and
they've been linked.
Kapanen got claimed on waivers by the Blues.
Yeah, and they've been linked to Sam Lafferty,
which is just funny.
They've been linked back to bring back Sam Lafferty in the recent weeks.
Can we just say I think that'd be hilarious if they give us a second-round pick to bring back Sam Lafferty.
Oh, I would laugh even more if it's a first.
That'd be great. That'd be so great. That would be the best thing ever.
Because we basically traded away Alex Nylander.
You get a free second-round pick. That right there is saving the Yoki Haru trade.
Oh yeah.
That right there would be an absolute masterclass. Now he could. Lafferty being involved in a Kane trade. I don't know if I'm not sure if there'll be a package there. Again, the rumor before was that it was going to be like you pair McCabe and Lafferty, and they're both going to Toronto. We haven't seen much in terms of McCabe rumors as of late.
Toronto.
A lot's going to happen. There's so much that's going to happen over the next
24 to 48 hours.
So much is going to change, regardless of the Kane stuff, even beyond the Kane stuff, just a ton of things are going to happen everywhere over the next 5 days. We have 6 days as of, 2 o'clock Central is the trade deadline. And that's 6 days from now, which is, what would that be? So that's 6 days from now. So, yeah, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Is it Friday? Friday is the trade deadline?
Yes.
Friday is the trade deadline.
Which I will be live for all day, starting at 6 a.m., ending after the deadline.
Yeah. I'll probably try and stop by at least for a little bit.
Could Ian Mitchell be involved? Brian's asking. There's a potential, but I don't know. Ian Mitchell would just be a throw-in at that point because it seems like the Hawks don't really care if they have him or not. And I really think Ian Mitchell would just be a throw-in.
Yeah.
He's scratched tonight, so he's not even in the lineup tonight, so we'll see. But who gets traded first, Sam Lafferty or Patrick Kane?
Who gets traded first? Oh, probably Patrick. I'll put my money on Patrick Kane because I think that they're just waiting until tomorrow to finalize the trade.
Yeah, I think.
Where Sam Lafferty could get moved at any point, but I think that you probably see Lafferty moved closer to like Tuesday or Wednesday.
I can even
Of
see
course,
Lafferty.
of course, it could be the case where
again.
It could be a situation where the Blackhawks play today, then they play Monday, Tuesday, and then they play Thursday, and then the trade deadline's Friday. So we have 4 games between now and the trade deadline. Of course, I find it funny with there's the Arizona situation, but most teams who hold a player out for trade related reasons actually trade that player pretty quickly. You have the Arizona Coyotes who have basically just scratched Jacob Chikrin for the last 2 weeks just to not trade him. They should be like fined a draft. Okay, the Arizona Coyotes should be fined some draft pick if they don't trade Jacob Chikrin. Because they've held this guy out for 3 weeks of the lineup. One of their best players who has not played for 2 weeks, and if he doesn't go by the trade deadline, he's going to be gone for 3 full weeks, just waiting to be traded, and then he's not.
Brian, it's mainly because the Ice Hogs roster is about to be depleted in the next few days with Kane with the trade deadline.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people who are
Lucas Reichel.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I think that Lucas Reichel could get some time called up, but I think that whatever happens, they are going to prioritize making sure he's eligible for the AHL playoffs.
Yeah.
If they're not David Gust, they're going to make sure that David Gust. They're going to make sure Brett Seney. They're going to make sure Lucas Reichel. They're going to make sure Isaac Phillips. They're going to make sure all of guys and Jackson Starber. They're going to make sure all the guys are eligible for the AHL playoffs.
So expect roster movement between the Ice Hogs and Blackhawks to be more active in the next few weeks of the season, just because the season ends pretty much after March. There's like how many games? Like 3 games in April for the Hawks, and then that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So there's going to be roster movement almost every day, if I would guarantee it, between the Hawks and Ice Hogs for call-ups and send-downs just to keep the rosters okay, because the Hawks are going to need players on their team. The Ice Hogs are going to need players on that team. Kyle Davidson's going to have to bring in some assets for Rockford as well as the Blackhawks at trade deadline, because we know the plan is to compete for the Calder Cup this year in Rockford, and the Hawks to be sucking hard for Connor Bedard.
So report just came out. Ryan Lindgren's arm is in a sling.
Oh.
So he could be hurt. I mean, that to me would say probably like 3 weeks. 3 weeks missing time.
LTIR.
I don't think it's going to be that much.
So
I don't think he'll be out long enough to where it'll actually like impact who they could trade for.
Here's what Charlie Romoliotis did tweet. If Ryan Lindgren's injury is serious, the Rangers can place him on LTIR, which would open up cap space and allow the Allow Patrick Kane trade sooner rather than later. If Lindgren is on LTIR, that opens up the salary cap space, and they probably don't need this third team involved because they could probably leave Lindgren on the LTIR until the playoffs.
If Lindgren's out for the rest of the regular season, then here's the question. Are they then going to try and look to maybe get a defenseman?
Jake McCabe.
Could that be a part of it? That's something that wasn't even like Of course, here's the thing, though. Jake McCabe is not a rental.
And he's playing tonight.
He's not a rental.
Yeah.
Jake McCabe isn't a rental. So if you're looking at Jake McCabe, I don't think that Jake McCabe is a Rangers option. Now, Jack Johnson.
Would you?
No. I would be stunned. I mean,
can the Rangers take a use?
I wonder if maybe Jack Johnson I think that Jack Johnson would be traded if he didn't win his cup last year to some random contender for a conditional 7th. That probably would have happened if he hadn't already won his cup this year. I don't know if he signs with us.
Sorry, Core. He's going back to the Rangers. We can already just say it. He's Jack Johnson's a New York Ranger.
Jackie Johnson.
Jack Johnson's a New York Ranger.
Jack Johnson's a New York. Oh my God. I think that Jack Johnson is just the most perfect tank commander you could possibly have. He has been the worst NHL player, NHL regular this entire season. Regular numbers don't like him. Advanced numbers don't like him. You watch him play and you want to pull your eyes out. That's a sign of a tank commander. When no matter which lens, he's awful. The only guy who rivals that is, ironically enough, Jake Lecision.
Yeah. I would laugh if Jack Johnson is just a throw-in on the trade and just say, screw it.
I mean, he's arguably better than Libor Hayek, so...
Yeah.
It's not saying much, but I do honestly think that Jack Johnson's a better hockey player than Ben Harper.
Yep. Your friend Jack Johnson might be back in the Ranger uniform.
That's not happening.
If it happens,
we're just joking. We're just joking off.
Yeah. Okay. Us Blackhawk fans need a laugh right now because we've gone through some shit this year.
Yeah, it's been times. Time has happened.
You guys know this. I don't cuss on my streams or on my videos often. When I say we've gone through some shit, the Hawks have gone through some shit this year.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Things have happened. Things have happened.
Yeah.
It's hard to say anything other than just things have happened.
I'm just trying. I really want to know what's going to be the trade because we know Kane's back in Chicago.
Yeah. I think that what we do is probably going to just pause for now, and then we'll come back tomorrow, potentially a live podcast, and we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably going to head out, but okay. I think I've said everything that we need to say.
Yeah.
I hope we can get something good for him. I hope we can get something good for Patrick Kane. It's going to be weird with, nobody who won a cup with the Blackhawks in the lineup tonight.
Definitely.
There are 0 Chicago Blackhawks Stanley Cup champions on the ice for the Blackhawks tonight for the first time since 2010.
2004.
Well, 2004 in terms of the people, but 2010 in terms of people who had won cups.
Yep. It's a whole new era for Chicago Blackhawks hockey, and it starts tonight.
Yeah, it is, and it's gonna keep on changing. It's gonna keep on moving. We're gonna keep on integrating new people. It's gonna be exciting. It sucks now. It's going to get exciting. It really will. As the draft picks come in, as new players come in, as more preseasons come in, as you're looking at websites like Elite Prospects and looking at how these players are doing, as you're watching the Ice Hogs improve. The Ice Hogs are going to keep getting better. This year is not the peak, and it's not going to just tank after the season. Our commitment as an organization is that we are building a team that's going to start good at the prospect level. We're seeing a ton of prospects perform well this year. Then it's going to trickle into the AHL level. We're going to see a bunch of those guys go to Rockford over the next couple of years. It's going to get even better and better and better. Lucas Reichel was just the start. Isaac Phillips was just the start. And then those guys are going to graduate and become NHL players. And it'll start bad. It's not going to be as bad as this year going forward. Next year, we're still probably not going to be good, but it's not going to be much better. But after, and give it a couple more years and a couple more years beyond. And what we're going to see is the team slowly improve. And if we sprinkle in a couple of fantastic superstar draft picks, we're going to have to sign some players, just to reach salary floor and, just pay people to play for this team. But with the young talent that we're going to have added in, it's going to be a lot better. Remember this. On opening night this year, the youngest player that the Blackhawks had was Philip Kurashev, who was a 23-year-old. Since then, Isaac Phillips has played some games. Lucas Reichel has played some games. But other than those two, who are 20 and 21, there's nothing else in terms of youngsters on this team or guys who are getting NHL opportunities at the moment. That's going to change. That's going to continue to change. We're not going to see anymore where the youngest guy on the Blackhawks is a 23-year-old. That's not happening again.
I just thought of it. Kurashev gets the A.
I think
he's the longest tenured Blackhawk.
He is, which is sad. That's a sad fact.
He's the longest tenured Blackhawk. That's not Connor Murphy or Jonathan Toews. Toews is still part of the organization. He will remain that this year.
And he's not getting traded because of his health.
Honestly, I will say this: Toews is likely to retire after this year.
That could very much.
His body is telling him to. It's time to hang it up.
He's got 3 cups. He played 1,000 games. He's
going to be a Hall of Famer.
He's gonna get it. It could be a case. He might try and make a return, but it could very much be the end for Jonathan Toews. But the organization, you got to go down to take steps back up. In order to take steps forward, you're going to have to take steps back. And these last years were a bunch of steps back in terms of current team quality, but a bunch of steps forward in terms of prospect quality.
Yep.
And those players are going to keep improving, and they're going to keep getting better. And we're going to keep on adding prospects. We just got another second-round pick. We were talking before, I said this a couple times in the podcast, we were talking before about how the Blackhawks had 7 picks in the first 3 rounds last year. Actually 8, because they had 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and 3 thirds. 8 picks in the first 3 rounds last year. And then we had 2 picks in the first, second, and third for this and next year. We just added another second on top of that because of the second that we got this year from the Senators in the Zaitsev deal, which is also going to be an early second. So we got a top 40 pick to take on Nikita Zaitsev's contract this year in a very, very good draft. You're essentially getting a first-round talent because this draft is so talented. You're getting a first-round talent with the draft pick that you got to take on Nikita Zaitsev, even if it isn't a first-round pick.
Brian, I will say this. I don't even think the next captain of the Blackhawks is even in the organization.
The Chicago Blackhawks' next captain will be Adam Fantilli.
Or Connor Bedard.
Or if either of them get drafted to the team, I think that they will be the next captain. The only other option I can see is Jake McCabe. And if he's traded, then no. I think we are going to be captainless next year, unless Toews comes back for a season, but I doubt that.
The Blackhawks will be dumb to name a captain after Jonathan Toews, probably for 3. I will give it 3 years after Toews is gone. That's when we'll name a captain.
depending on how the draft falls. I think that Bedard and Fantilli are prime captain material, and I think after their first season, they could both do it. I really like the fact that over these last couple of years, it's been such a regular thing for teams to go captainless.
Yeah.
I don't really like it, and I think that part of it is the fact that, I don't know, maybe part of it is the fact that teams want, it's like, we want our long-term captain, or we don't want a captain at all, because we don't want to have a guy who we give a captaincy to for a couple of years. Then we have to take it from him because we want to give it to a different guy. I think it's kind of soft. I think it's kind of sad. I'm like, look, if you want a guy who's going to be a captain for a bit and you say, yeah, you're not going to be the captain once some of these other guys earn that role, then you should just be okay with that and understand that that's how it works and that it's going to be time to pass on the torch. It worked fine with Blake Wheeler. Yeah, that team's captainless right now, but they're not going to be next year. It's probably going to end up being like Josh Morrissey now.
I will tell you guys this. The last captains of the Chicago Blackhawks before Jonathan Toews was Adriana Coyne and Martin Lapointe. I don't think the Hawks want a situation like that again.
I don't think that that's I don't think that's necessarily an issue when you're on a rebuilding team. I don't think you need to go. I get why teams do it, but I don't think you need to go captainless.
Yeah.
I would like to see. I would be okay if the team appointed a new captain next year as a short-term option, guy who fits the identity of what we want to be as a culture. Since we're focusing more on team building next year, we're focusing more on integrating young talent and, being competent, not just being a disaster class.
I will say this. I think I know who will be the captain of the Ice Hogs next year is.
David Gust.
Yep.
David Gust. Yeah, David Gust. David Gust will be the captain of the Ice Hogs next year, and I have no doubts about that in my mind because
Garrett Mitchell is done.
Probably gone. If I see Adam Clendenning wearing a letter on that team, I'm just, yeah.
Yes. The dollar bill Warts era. Adrian Coyne, the captain of your Chicago Blackhawks.
Remember, it's crazy to think that this team had Rene Bourque at one point.
Yeah, Rene Bourque, Tomo Rutu.
Havlat.
Man, I loved Havlat.
Yeah. That's going to be it for me, though. I'm gonna take off.
Yeah, I think I'm going to hop off here too because
it's been a while.
Hour and 40 minutes. So, guys, if a trade happens, I will have a video out immediately when the trade is made, and I will have the news come out anytime. We're going, Tyler and I will probably be talking to see what we want to do for the next Hockey Podcast because we do that on the off side and
things have happened. So
things have happened and things are happening. So there could be a potential we go live for the Hockey Podcast tomorrow afternoon. If that's fair to say with you, Tyler.
Yeah, definitely. It's, again, with Kravtsov gone, I want Othman, but I don't think they're going to trade Othman.
Yeah.
That's the tough thing. I think that Will Cully could be a part of it. I actually think that would be an interesting option because Will Cully, I'm trying to think about this.
It's hard to say if we.
I would say that he's like a middle ground between. It's like a middle ground between Taylor Radish and Mike Hardman. I mean, he's a goal scorer. He's a physical guy. He's big.
Yeah.
It's like Mike Hardman is a good AHL goal scorer. Taylor Radish is a decent NHL goal scorer. I think that you could have maybe a third liner there.
Yeah.
A third liner, second power play guy. You could have someone who fits that, who is that in Will Cully. He's younger and he's big. He's an interesting guy. Maybe more like, maybe he tops out at like Trent Frederick, which could be the case. He could just top out at Trent Frederick's level.
I don't think Luke Phillip will be the captain for the Ice Hogs.
I think David Gus, because of I think he fits the identity and how well he's played this year. I think he's earned it, and I think that.
And
will
the
be the
fact
case.
that he has a Calder Trophy in his trophy cabinet already, I think Gus probably is the captain.
Yeah, most likely. But I do think that if you get Will Culley, then I would honestly really like that as one of the parts. And it's like Culley, 2 fighting majors and 3 Now we're talking Trent Frederick. now we're talking about Trent Frederick here. Okay. Just I'm like, how? What is Trent Frederick's like? And Frederick actually also had he had a decent goal scoring pedigree in the past. And he has 13 goals this season, which isn't bad. He's scored more goals than he has assists. Secure leaves, I don't really care.
I don't care either.
I don't really care, honestly. I mean,
he's just there.
I think he was like a stopgap veteran leader for the Rockford team this year. I think his need in the system next year is I think that his purpose in the system for next year is obsolete, and that there's other guys who are going to fill that role. And we also we're going to have a bunch more AHL players who are kind of filling into the team. We're going to have a bunch more AHL people filling into our AHL team.
Yep.
So I think that guys, Colton Dock's going to be on the Ice Hogs next year. Colton Dock will be on the Ice Hogs next year. There'll be some other guys who are going to be on the Ice Hogs next year. Probably Landon Slaggert as well, who I think has honestly just been very snake-bitten this year. I think he's had a better year. I think he's played better than the points that he's produced since seeing what I've watched of him.
Drew Commesso will likely be on the Ice Hogs next year.
Well, yeah. He's also not really – he's not a forward, but I do think he will be on the team next year.
I know, but in net, because – think about it. I would honestly think next year we could see a 3 goalie run with the Hawks and Soderblom, Mrazek, and Stahlberg, because we know Mrazek, he gets injured.
Mm-hmm. I think at that point you just buy Mrazek out.
I honestly am on the side to just buy him out because he's not good. And you can give your younger goalies an opportunity.
Yeah, and you can free up a little bit more flexibility to, It all depends on I think it does depend on how Soderblom finishes this season.
Yeah, he's starting to play well.
He's playing better.
Last night he nearly had a shutout.
He's playing better. Soderblom's playing better. Stauber's been great in the NHL. I mean, I have doubts because we've seen this before. I personally refer to it as the Scott Darling career simulator. And I think that we could be seeing that with Jackson Stauber.
It's a possibility.
I thought Kevin Lankinen was heading towards Scott Darling career simulator.
Yeah.
He's had a much better year, though, for the Predators this season, though.
Yeah.
But I think that next year, if they, and of course, maybe we do sign like a random veteran goalie.
There's a lot of
but this time they actually sign a random veteran goalie who doesn't get hurt. I don't care how good they are.
Semyon Varlamov.
I don't care how good they are. I just want them to be someone who is always healthy.
That's why I want to see Semyon Varlamov in a Blackhawks.
That'd be fun. That'd be cool.
And he could be a good mentor for Soderblom.
You could, yeah.
Mrazek is no good mentor for any young goalie. I'm sorry.
I mean, Mrazek doesn't have the play style of a mentor. He's very chaotic.
Yeah.
He's extremely chaotic. He also oddly looks like Scott Foster.
He does.
Peter Mrazek looks a lot like Scott Foster. It's weird.
One moment.
Where's the picture of Peter Mrazek next to Scott Foster? Like, whoa. Whoa!
What?
Nino Niederreiter just got traded to the Jets.
What?
Nino Niederreiter just got traded to the Jets.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's just been tweeted by both Friedman and CJ. Whoa.
Nashville trades Niederreiter.
How many years were left on his contract?
Nashville has just entered the suck hard for Bedard sweepstakes.
They're not that bad. Okay, so Niederreiter was on a 2-year deal. So he was 2 years, $4 million. It started this year. So Nino Niederreiter just got traded to the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah, I'm going to stay on until we find out what the heck this is about.
Okay, yeah, same. We were just about ready to sign
Let's
off.
stop. Oh my God.
This is interesting. Trade deadline, boys. It's silly season. And I will also do this. Here you go. For your guys' pleasure. Come on. Yep, there it is. Scott Foster and Peter Mrazek. Tyler is one of my friends and part of the Hockey Puckcast with me.
Yeah, we're on the podcast together.
And he's also on the Discord.
Yeah, I'm in the Discord. I don't really spend too much time there, but Nino Niederreiter just got traded to the Winnipeg Jets, and now I need to find out what the heck just happened.
Guys, we'll stay live until the Niederreiter situation descends.
So Niederreiter just got traded to the Winnipeg Jets.
This is silly season, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's more with Nashville. They're just like acknowledging that they're extremely mid,
and they won't make it out of the first round.
They're not in the Bedard sweepstakes, though. That's the one thing with they're not that bad. They're not that bad. I don't even know if they'll be in the bottom 10.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can reach the bottom 10. Jets are going to be in the playoffs, obviously. They're having a good year.
That was a nice catch by Patrick Wisdom. I have the Cub game on the side.
Yeah, the Cubs game's on. I totally forgot about that. I was going to watch, but then this happened.
Yeah.
There we go.
But yeah, I wonder what the Jets got for Niederreiter. Yeah. He's a good asset for the Jets. They could use that's a good piece.
That's a very good addition for them. I really like that addition for them. Now, let me look at the Winnipeg Jets and just their roster so that I can see how they've been lining up. So they've been going. That's weird. It looks like Kyle Connor.
Thanks for pointing out I just spelled scratch earlier. That was my dyslexia right there.
Yeah.
I fixed that immediately.
Yeah, so it looks like Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and then they're putting Mason Appleton on their first line, at least for now, it looks like. That might be where he fits in. Because Cole Perfetti just got hurt.
Yeah.
Cole Perfetti's going to miss like 8 weeks. So that makes some sense that he would be replaced. This team does not have the best depth. Their depth is pretty weak. So if they so you got a top line of Ehlers, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Blake Wheeler. And your second line would be Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Nino Niederreiter. Their depth is still not all that good afterwards. I mean, Mason Appleton, Morgan Barron, Adam Lowry's okay. Carson Kuhlman, Axel Janssen, Fjallby, David Gustafson, Sam Gagne, Kevin Stenlund, Sacramento Line. What? This team needs a complete overhaul of their bottom six. Like a complete overhaul.
They just need to rebuild.
They don't need a rebuild. They're good again. Last year was kind of a fluke. They're also carried by Hellebuck, but And Morrissey's going on. Morrissey has gone stupid good this season as well. There's that.
Didn't the Predators just get Niederreiter in free
They
agency?
just signed him this offseason. It was only a 2-year contract, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was on. It was a 2-year contract.
The Jets currently have $8 million remaining in salary cap space.
You know, the Jets actually
Third-party
sound like I'm going to say this. The Jets sound like a Sam Lafferty destination.
That does sound like one.
That I actually like a lot.
I believe the Jets have been scouting in Hawks games a lot, and I think it might be for Sam Lafferty.
Yeah. Also, you know who I think? I mean, they could use Sam Lafferty.
Domi could be an option,
They
too.
also could really use Taylor Radish.
I don't trade Taylor yet.
I wouldn't unless, if they're going to give you a second for him, then I'd take it. But they're probably going to – I would like the idea of Winnipeg trading a second-round pick for Sam Lafferty. But they just –
Domi could be an option to go up to Winnipeg.
This will be interesting to see what they get for Niederreiter now that we
Yeah.
Of course, we've seen before where a trade happens and then we have to wait a while for them to for it to be announced. I'm gonna turn on post notice for both the Predators and the Jets, just in case the official team account posts it first.
Yeah, I would.
Because what Chris Johnston said was a trade call. So what that sounds like is it's still pending a trade call, but the Jets and Predators have a deal in place that would send Niederreiter to Winnipeg. What that sounds like to me is that the trade's about to be made official.
Yeah.
Of course, we've seen in the past where we've seen, absolutely just dumb things before, like with the Hagel trade, where Frank Seravalli says Blackhawks are trading Brandon Hagel to Tampa Bay Lightning, and then 2 hours of nothing.
Yep.
So we'll see if anything comes through.
Here, I would do this because this is something noteworthy to have heard from you guys. For you guys. Where is it? Guys, this is from Charlie Romoliotis earlier. The interview with Richardson. So this is Richardson to the media about Patrick Kane.
All I know is, just managing the roster here tonight is both Kane and Lafferty are unavailable. That's really all I got. I don't know anything else other than trying to, jumble the lines together here. Special teams, trying to be ready for tonight. There are reports that he's left the team playing back to Chicago. Yeah, he has left this morning. He was with the team yesterday, but as of today, he was going back to Chicago and just until the situation rectifies itself either way. Do you feel weird without him here? We've missed him a few games this year, but he's obviously just such a focal point of this team that just seeing him on the video this morning, definitely it's a different feeling being here. Is Lafferty still? Yes, Lafferty's still here in town. All I know is just to manage.
So it appears Lafferty's still with the Blackhawks in Chicago. Yes, Brian, we did see the tweet from Charlie Romoliotis about Ryan Lindgren.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything yet.
So Lafferty's still with the Blackhawks in out in San Jose. So they say he's scratched, but if there was like a last minute injury that happened to the lineup, I get they could put Lafferty in probably.
Yeah, it could happen, but I doubt that would be the case.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that it's just. I have a feeling that like that's not going to happen. Still no trade report coming in.
My guess it could come in a little bit. This is going to be so weird seeing Patrick Kane in a different jersey. Oh, by the way, the Hawks game could be a little bit delayed tonight. They're doing a jersey retirement in San Jose.
Oh,
Patrick Marleau.
Oh, I thought they already did Marlowe.
Nope. Marleau night is tonight.
I thought it's the second time that they're doing the second time that we are present for a special night in San Jose
Yep.
this season.
Yeah, there's like no word on the Anita Rider. Ooh. You know how they have the pitch count thing going on in baseball?
Yeah, I saw that video. I think that this is going to be. I don't necessarily think that we're going to see that again. I think that the MLB is going to look at that and say, "Oh God, that's one of the worst. That's never going to happen again. We cannot let that happen again. We cannot let that be on our TVs." It's the first day of preseason. It's the first day of spring training games. I think that they're going to look at that and say, "Yeah, no, you can't be you can't be draconian with pitch clocks. It can't be you can't be that ridiculous with them. When you're in a big moment like that, you got to just like let the moment happen as opposed to intervening and saying, you took too long, so the game."
Wow, I did not think I was going to be live for 2 hours. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's been any update yet. Yep, Rock. The end of the era is for sure. The Hawks will be without Patrick Kane tonight because he's likely to be dealt probably in the next 24 hours. As he's back in Chicago. That would be nice to see, Rock. I really hope that happens soon. Right now, we're still saying live for the Winnipeg Jets trade with the Predators for Nito Niederreiter to finally drop. Hopefully, it happens soon.
Yeah.
I hope so, Rock. It's close. I could see it maybe happening where I hit a. Hopefully, can reach 1,000 on Friday when I go live for trade deadline day.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're actually going to get anything
Yeah, I don't know either.
involving Niederreiter.
Oh, screw off, Chris Johnson.
Oh, there we go.
It is?
It's a second rounder.
Oh. Okay.
So Winnipeg to Nashville. Waiting on confirmation. This is from both Friedman and Serval just tweeted it. Looks like
Okay.
a second round pick.
In 2024.
2024 second round pick because Nashville didn't have their own 2023 second rounder anymore.
Okay.
That was already traded away. What was the Brendan Dillon trade? Yes, it was the Brendan Dillon trade.
Okay. Were you shocked that Kapanen was claimed off of waivers?
No.
I wasn't either. Honestly,
I think that what I'm more frustrated in is you've seen my thoughts on waivers over the last while. You know that when I look at a waiver situation, I think that it's kind of ridiculous how little effort teams put into trying to utilize waivers.
Yep. I was really hoping the Hawks would have claimed him just because.
Yeah.
I think Kapanen fits the system the Hawks are trying to build. All right, so the trade for Niederreiter to the Jets was a 2024 second-round pick. I think we'll call it a live stream here. We've been live for. I've been live for about 2 hours here, and then Tyler's been on for about an hour and a half with me. So I think we'll end the stream off here. I want to say thank you for those who came by the live stream. I know it's the end of an era with Patrick Kane likely to be traded probably in the next 24 hours. And we'll have a new video out once Kane's trade goes through. And thank you for watching the broadcast. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And most of all, it's silly season, and let's go Hawks.
Here you go. It's going to get crazy. Hawks going to be a big part of it.